because I was trying to spare you all this, but it didn't happen, right? They're washing our buildings, and so it's going to be loud for a second. Hopefully, they're done soon, but I know I'm supposed to be on at 3, and so here we are. Look, I want to talk to you guys today because I love helping people. My name is Misha. I am here to help you understand what may be going on with you throughout the landscape of your healthcare. So if you're suffering with weight that you can't get off, fatigue, migraines, headaches, body aches and pains, bleeding teeth and gums, vertigo, diabetes type 2, a number of things. This week I'm actually talking about hypertension and heart disorders a lot. So watch for those videos. I'm going to go over them a little bit on this live, and I'm going to link it all to insulin resistance and explain why it's the one thing that we all should be paying attention to. The one thing that we all need to understand is affecting almost all of our health and why it's linked to everything that we're suffering with right now. And it really is. So if you're suffering from heart disease, hypertension, high blood pressure, that is, or cardiovascular disorders, understand that 95% of hypertension is linked to um, insulin resistance. Wow, I think this is outside. This has got me. Well, hopefully they're past this window. So, all right, guys, that's why I talk about it. I'm this week, all week, I'm devoting time to going over, breaking it down in the number of ways that insulin resistance actually causes hypertension so that you can get better, so that you're not suffering with it. If you're anything like me, that, by the way, is hypertension is one of the symptoms of insulin resistance. Well, it would be, since 95% of hypertension comes from insulin resistance. So what I like to talk about is, well, what I don't know that I like is the right word, but we lose 19 million people a year to cardiovascular diseases. That's over 50,000 people a day that we lose to cardiovascular disorders and diseases. Now, when you look at science, they're saying that 80% of those diseases and disorders are linked to long-term high blood pressure. So if we start linking the dots, because I like to connect the dots, then we have to understand that about 80% of those deaths are actually being caused by this thing called insulin resistance. So now it's no longer, oh, they got some excess weight on, oh, they've got, headaches, or oh, their memory's failing, or oh, their gut's jacked up, or a number of the other things that happen. It links into hypertension. So I had a blood pressure of 180 over 150 every single day for years. Good morning, good afternoon, everybody who's jumping in. I can't see everybody on Facebook and YouTube. I wish it would show me over there, but welcome. So I talk about all this stuff because I want you to understand that you don't have to be, it doesn't have to be that way. You don't have to suffer with it. It's not a life sentence, okay? If we understand that statin drugs and water pills and all of these other things are not the thing that's going to get us better, in many cases, statin drugs actually further the problem, and they're causing more insulin resistance in your body. I will do a video on that because I need to go back and look at the research so I can not misspeak. But statin drugs are actually causing more of the problem than they're helping. And so if you get off of all of those drugs, I'm talking about with the direction of your physician, I'm not telling you what to do, but if you had a chance of getting off of all of those drugs that you're not seeing help from, because I wasn't, and instead do a protocol based on real food products that's addressing the real problem, and get your blood pressure under control and feel like you have your life back, would that be worth it? Because that's what we're going to talk about. So insulin resistance, how many people understand? I know it's like this big buzzword out there that everybody's talking about, but how many people actually understand what insulin resistance is? Do you guys need me to let you know? Because I think I kind of wanna. You guys know I like to talk about it. But insulin resistance really is, when they say that 93% of us have a metabolic disorder, that's really impactful. So if only 7% of us are metabolically healthy, that means that almost all of us have some type of metabolic disorder, and that links to insulin resistance and the high presence of insulin in our system. So what's happening is our food is converting too quickly into glucose in our system. And when that happens, it creates a need for insulin. Insulin is a hormone, and it's there to transport that sugar that we're eating to every cell in the body. So when we eat that food we need to start understanding that it's energy. Okay, so when we eat, it's energy. It gets converted through a long process in our body, and then it gets delivered into our cells. Insulin is that messenger guy who's taking the sugar out to every cell and delivering it. But what happens when we have sugar present in our system so much that we overproduce this hormone? Our cells start to become resistant to it. So now they're not getting the energy they need. They're not regenerating like they're supposed to. We're never able to burn off fat because insulin is a hormone of growth. It doesn't like things to burn up. It's like a hoarder. It's like, I did all of this work to store all of this energy that you just ate, and I'm not going to let it go anywhere as long as I'm on guard. Okay, so we have to understand that. This is why we talk about intermittent fasting, why I talk about not eating all the time, why I talk about not eating every 2 hours. Don't buy into that crud. That really is an industry that's trying to get you to buy more food. It doesn't really give a crap about your diet, or your health. So stop. We don't need to snack all the time. I was one. Look, I snacked all the time. In fact, I was getting some content ready for later on, and I was talking about how it affects our brain, and how when our brain is not getting the proper carbohydrates because of insulin resistance, we start having crazy cravings. I was one of them. So if you guys are having all these cravings and you just can't seem to get rid of them, like you just feel like you need sugar all the time, it's unexplainable. It's probably insulin resistance for a number of reasons. So we've got to start figuring out how to get that under control. In a little bit, I'm going to tell you about the protocol that I used to reverse my type 2 diabetes, reverse my hypertension, get off of 10 drugs, and just change my life completely. And you see the ladies up here, I'm one of them, the one over on the left. That was me 2 years ago, 50 pounds ago, before I started this natural protocol. And I had been on medications. The doctor said tried everything. I wasn't able to lose weight. I was not sleeping. I was in pain all the time. I was just having problem after problem after problem. And if that resonates with any of you, let me know, because I know I'm not the only one. I hear it all the time about people who've gone into their doctor and their doctor is just saying, lose weight and you'll feel better. If you would just lose that weight, all of those things would start to get better for you. Well, what if we understand that the weight came as a result of this hormone called insulin, and that maybe if we start addressing the insulin, our weight can get better, and then yes, everything else starts to get better too. They used to think that our excess weight came first, and then we became insulin resistant. That's what the old thinking was. The more studies that have been done, the more they understand that no, these high levels of insulin and this overabundance of this hormone comes first, and then it's out there doing its job as the good hoarder that it is and storing fat on your body. Now you're starting to get overweight, but you have to have this excess of insulin for that to happen. So we need to just really understand what's really going on. And so many more doctors are talking about it now than ever. And if we can address that one thing that is like really the root, then we can start to get better, just like all of us in these pictures have. Cindy, by the way, has lost over 120 pounds. My good friend here, who shall not be named, has lost 50 pounds. I've lost 50 pounds, and we all did it just with the same protocol. And I couldn't exercise when I first started because I was in so much pain. But that's not my life now. I've actually done 2 workouts today because I'm feeling like I want to get my butt back together. Somebody commented on how sad it was that I wasn't powerlifting anymore. And it made me feel really bad. You guys, I loved powerlifting, but it's not my lifestyle anymore. I would go back to it in a heartbeat if I wasn't so busy with everything else. All right. So hypertension, there's a number of ways that insulin resistance is causing hypertension. If you know somebody who has high blood pressure, who has cardiovascular diseases, you guys, I'm not talking about it today, but also know that kidney problems and liver problems linked to this. So send them over here, let them listen to what may be really going on. Also gout, I was reminded the other day to talk about gout because that's linked. Like, so many things are linked to this. Anyway, with insulin resistance, one of the things that's happening, I'm going to go over them briefly. One of the things that happens is the insulin starts messing with how your kidneys put out this hormone called, or substance called aldosterone, that tells your body whether to retain or get rid of salt. So that's dysregulated in insulin resistance. Now your kidneys aren't offloading this salt that's in your system or you're eating, and so it remains in your system. That retains water. Where salt goes, water goes. So now you have extra pressure in your blood just because you have extra liquid in your blood, because your body's not letting go of salts like it should. This is why doctors tell you to watch your salt intake. But what about we start to get rid of the excess sugar so the insulin can come down, and then you can have normal levels of salt on your food. Now, I use Himalayan salt and sea salt anyway. Himalayan salt's what's in my cupboard. But so I'm not here to talk about that. But salt retention, water retention is one way that insulin is causing it. Another way that it's happening is when you have this excess insulin, it's causing this overgrowth of what we call endothelial cells. They're the innermost layer. I just did a video of that yesterday. Innermost blood vessels, and they start to thicken up. So now you take a vessel that's got a size like this, and you start to thicken those walls, and now the size is smaller. Well, you already have excess water in your blood, so there's excess pressure, and now you're narrowing down the size of delivery that pressure can go through. And we wonder why blood pressure climbs so rapidly. But on top of that, what happens with insulin resistance is that now we have this place where insulin, by the way, insulin and cortisol link into each other a lot. Excess cortisol can cause excess insulin. Excess insulin can cause excess cortisol. Negative feedback loop, okay? So when you have excess insulin, it's putting you in this state of fight or flight consistently, all the time. So you're getting tired, but your body's being cued to be ready on the go. So you're always like, your blood pressure is always just a little bit up because your cortisol is up, because your body's saying that there's some danger you got to be ready for when there's no danger there. But it's because it's cued by insulin resistance that you're on this edge all the time anyway. So there's 3 ways insulin resistance is causing high blood pressure. And then the last but not the least that I'm going to talk about, I know I'm skipping one. I'll think about it in a minute. But the last one I'm going to talk about right now is cholesterol. So how many of you guys think that eating saturated fats and eating fats and eating egg yolks is causing your arteries to clog up, and that's what's giving you heart problems? How many of you guys think that, or know, or feel like that's the case? And I want that down. Okay, now I can see better. So I know that most of us have been told that, right? We think that that's what's happening with us. Would you be surprised to understand that it's not necessarily the dietary fat when we're talking about, and I'm going to tell you what fats do and don't affect you, and it's not what, it's more the cholesterol that your body produces in response to these sugars that's causing the problem. So in the presence of, this is going to get just a little bit lengthy. So in the presence of insulin resistance or too much insulin, you have this paradigm where your body has 2 types of what we think of as the negative cholesterol in our system. That's the LDL. You guys have all heard that that's the bad cholesterol, right? So there's actually 2 kinds of this, and it's just never measured. They haven't decided to measure for it. I think they're going to move more towards that as we get more information about it. But there's a more buoyant, bigger type of LDL molecule called type A, and it just kind of bounces around the blood and floats along and doesn't really get into trouble. Then there's a smaller, denser molecule called type B, and it's the one that gets really heavy and starts kind of like bouncing in walls of your arteries and sticking and causing little like log jams in your arteries. That's the cholesterol that's bad. And what's happening is insulin cues your body to make more of the type B cholesterol than it does the type A cholesterol. So now you have this problem with a cholesterol that shouldn't be bad for you, but there's so much of it that it's just kind of jamming up, and it's not from the fats you're eating, it's from the sugar you're eating. So one though is trans fats are some of the fats that can be very inflammatory for you. So everybody should know, watch out for trans fats. You guys, since I've learned all of this stuff and understood what happened to my body, I do not allow seed oils or what a lot of people would consider healthy oils in my house, or my kids don't have them in their house. And I now know, because I was telling my daughter this morning, the more that I'm away from some of these foods that trigger all of this stuff, the more I can feel it immediately in my body when it happens. And those seed oils, or like corn oil, canola oil, safflower oil, sunflower oil, all of those things are causing the inflammation in your body, and then that's causing insulin resistance itself. There's a lot of things that interact with insulin resistance. So inflammation, like from injuries or surgeries, or that can cause you to be more insulin resistant. And insulin resistance definitely causes more inflammation in your body. So we want to pay attention to it. Gary, thank you. It is an amazing product. And it's a life-saving product. The protocol I'm going to go over in just a few minutes. I've seen so many people who were at stage 3 kidney disease, not have to go through dialysis. People like me who are on dual therapy for their blood pressure, and no physician, I had been to multiple, was able to get my blood pressure normalized. And in less than 2 years on this protocol, I'm off of all medications and my blood pressure is normal. Every morning I wake up, it's about 112 or 116 over 74, somewhere in there. For a 60, almost 60-year-old, I'm pushing it. You guys, I'm actually where I used to hate thinking about being 60. I'm kind of looking forward to it now because I feel better. I now feel like I actually have a future. 2 years ago, I thought my life was over. I don't feel like my life is over anymore. I keep having to remind myself I have a lot of years left, and it's because I got rid of the insulin resistance. So, and the protocol that Gary and I both use is, it's amazing. It's helped with all of that, all of the symptoms up here, except for, of course, I didn't have erectile dysfunction. I had all of that, and all of that's gotten better for me. So if you have questions, look, this isn't about, I want to share information with you guys, but I also want to understand what you're dealing with. So if you're having problems with any of those things, please comment and let me know what it is that you're suffering with. Then I can address how this is linking into that. Okay. Understand though, with these at least 4 actions, there's a 5th one that I'm missing. I don't know why I'm missing it. So we talked about, that's it. The 5th one, Melba, I'll answer your question in a second. The 5th action is there's a chemical called nitric oxide our body puts out to tell our blood vessels to open up and relax so that blood flow can go through. That's why they give you nitrogen when people have heart problem, or nitrogen, yes. So our body cannot put that out. So now you have too much pressure. You have blood vessels that are small, are thicker, so the space is smaller. You're constantly having excess pressure because of the fight or flight, and now we're missing this response in our body that tells our blood vessels to relax and open up. So now they're rigid and tight on top of everything else, and now we haven't been able to take care of it. So Melba over on Facebook is asking, when did I know to stop the meds? You guys, please understand, please understand, I am kind of a rogue person. I worked in medical offices. I was aware of the medications. I'm very self-aware. I decided to stop my medications one day because I was mad. I am not a medication person. I would not recommend that for anyone else. Check with your physician, but I was in close contact with my physician when I stopped. So I stopped within a month and a half of being on the system because I looked at it and I'm like, I have 10 medications on one counter. I had a Ninja on the other counter. I'm doing the protocol and I'm like, what has my life become? I'm sick, I'm tired, I'm hurting, and I'm over it. I'm going to give the system a chance to do its job, and that's it. And I actually, again, I'm not advocating for this for anyone else, but I pulled up my garbage can and I took all of the medications on my counter and I just wiped them in the garbage can in a fit of rage, I think, one day, that I don't want to be on medications. And I haven't refilled any of them since, and everything is normalized. So let's answer a couple of questions. Gut problems. Yeah, Mavis is 81 years old on the protocol and believes she now has a future too. Like, I look forward to it. I mean, I was doing squats today. I'm doing exercises, air squats. I don't have weight on my back yet, but I feel like getting up and moving. I wake up in the morning and I feel like I have a lot left to do. I have grandkids and family I want to go do things with, where 2 years ago I felt like I might as well just start packing it in. And I don't feel like that. So chronic gut issues are also linked to this. Okay. So when you have insulin resistance, it's causing that inflammation, but it's also causing a dysregulation of the gut microbiome. Sugar is passing into our system too quickly and feeding negative gut bacteria. Now you end up with things like Crohn's and IBS and all of these other issues. I talked about it a couple of weeks ago, but it causes a lot of that. So, and the other thing is the inflammation in your gut, when you're so inflamed there, and and that's just passing out into every other tissue in your body, because your gut's your largest internal organ. But your immune system, your cells are also held in your gut. Okay, and so if 70% of your immune cells are held in an environment that's inflamed and sick, those immune cells are not going to be healthy either. There's a reason you're getting sick. There's a reason you're catching colds too quickly, or flus, or every bug that comes along, or you're just feeling tired all the time and not well. It has to do with your gut. So this is not a probiotic. Okay, it has prebiotics in it, they're in the form of fibers, but we're nourishing your gut and slowing down the sugars so that your body has a fighting chance. And I've seen multiple people, including myself, get better with this protocol and get over their gut issues. So, all right. So the protocol, guys, I do a tea in the morning. Every morning I do some intermittent fasting. Before I do that, can I give you guys, there's an ebook that I have out that's free for everybody. Please download it. You just my profile link. I'm sorry, guys, on TikTok it doesn't let me share the link, but you can go to my profile and get it, and let me get it for everybody over on Facebook and YouTube. But you can go there. There's a free ebook. Download it, and these are the 6 things I talk about in the ebook. You're going to start doing this. Okay, you want to get in fiber first before you eat, every time you eat, because that's one of the main components that's been stripped out of our food. Fibers are supposed to slow our food down from being digested too quickly, and yet we stripped it out. That's why we used to be the size of like this, and now they're the size of my fist. Okay, because we stripped the fibers out. Carrots no longer look like they used to. Nothing does. That's what's happening to us. So I get in fiber first before I eat every time I eat. I can't get in the amount and variety of fibers that I need, so I supplement, and I'll show you that in a second. Then I want you to prioritize protein. Most of us are not getting in protein in a day. I'll answer your question in a second. Then I want you to get in healthy fats. Okay, so don't fear fats. So your eating order should be exactly that: fiber, protein, then fats. When you filled up with those first, then you can have your carbohydrates, but limit them. And yes, I'm going to agree with everyone else. Your carbohydrates should come from more natural sources. And if you guys don't know what macros are, I'll cover that, because people confused about what a carbohydrate is. Would love to cover that too. So those are the first 4 principles. Then you're going to do some intermittent fasting or time-based eating. You can do a 12-12, a lot less results with that. The closer you can get to 16 hours of fasting and 8 hours of eating, the more results you'll see. And that's with or without the protocol. Okay, it's hard to do for many people without. And then you want to move your body. You guys, I don't care how much pain we're in, we have to move. Find a way to move. We are so sedentary today. It just has to happen. There's like no question about it. If you're in a wheelchair, flap your arms, do something, but move your body. A body that's moving is more sensitive to insulin because it needs the energy. All right. So those are the 6 things. I go over them in depth in the ebook. Download it and utilize that. I also go over proteins and fats in there, what you should be taking in. Then the protocol looks like this. I have, again, because I can't get all of that today, and I don't want to try and think about carrying, like I couldn't carry all of that on a plane when I travel, and I travel and move around a lot. So I supplement, honestly. Like if you can do it without, amazing for you, but most of us cannot. So tea in the morning, the tea in the morning gives me, which is, I'm actually having my second one today because it has a different caffeine in it. So it doesn't like give me crashes. It's not going to keep me awake at night. None of that. Me mental energy and clarity. It gives it, my guys, my brain fog is like 2 years ago, I would cry because my mental acuity was gone and now it's back. And I just drink this tea. I will go over all of the components in this in a second. And then it's helping me feel satiated because it's allowing me to burn my own fat for fuel. It's encouraging me to burn my own fat for fuel. Plus there's components in it that cross the blood-brain barrier and affect serotonin, dopamine, and how the neurotransmitters work in the brain. So now my wellness scores, I feel better, right? I feel like I have more energy. When you feel like you have more energy, when your brain is getting what it needs, you have less hunger pains. Okay. We don't always equate that to our brain, but it does. The second part of the protocol is I have those fibers before I eat, every time I eat. And so because I don't get them all in, like I try, but I'm not there. I supplement. I drink this in cold water 10 minutes before I eat, every time I eat anything. So, because I now understand what it's doing, right? Those fibers are doing, and it's not just fibers. There's some phytosterols in there for cholesterol absorption. There's vitamins and minerals in it. But that packet, what it does in your body, my brain and my tongue are not cooperating. My brain's going zoom, my tongue's not catching up. All right, so it gets in your gut, it gels up, it causes this thick gel matrix in your gut that starts to make you feel full before you've even eaten. So you're less likely to overeat. You're less likely to do all that. I remember when I first started, like these great big, back home, they had Carl's Jr. and I would have a big Carl's Jr. burger. I used to be able to kill one of those like easily. I started the protocol and then it was like, oh, I can only have half of this. Great for me because now that one burger lasts 2 meals, right? So it's filling you up so you're less likely to overeat. But then it's also causing, like, if you will, a prophylactic in the bottom of your gut. So now it's in the bottom of your gut when you drink it first. And as you're eating food, it's dropping into this gel matrix, this fiber matrix, and it's coating all of that food and slowing down how quickly all of that converts into glucose in your system and how quickly those fats are absorbing. So now you're controlling the sugar and how quickly it's hitting your system. So even if, and you guys, I don't skip birthday cake or wedding cake. I don't have to. And my insulin is still under control. I don't skip, like we don't really have ice cream. There was a time when my grandson loved ice cream. By the way, I'm working on some healthier alternatives to that too, but not like there's not a bazillion out there, but I just like to do my own thing. All right, so it's doing that, and then it slows down how quickly it hits my system, and then it keeps me full longer. I will stay full for hours after eating instead of being hungry right again after. So how many of you guys are eating, you feel like so full, like the unbuckle the pants, like gotta make some room because I'm so full, and yet a half an hour later you're going looking for popcorn or other snacks. They're back. Sorry guys. That's because your food is running through you like a Mack truck in high gear. We don't want that to happen. We want to be able to hold on to our food and allow it to nourish us over time. I like to think of it like a time release capsule. When I get those fibers in, it's like time releasing that nourishment to my body. Okay, so now I don't have big spikes of sugar, which causes big spikes of insulin, and now everything starts to normalize. And it's not like I'm counting calories. It's not like I'm restricting outside of I just don't eat donuts and bread all day long. I don't count calories, guys. I eat what is right for me based on those 6 principles I talked about and getting the tools in every single day, allowing my body to rest from insulin by not eating all the damn time. And that's it. That's all I've done. So if I want a hamburger, I have a hamburger. If I want spaghetti, I have spaghetti. Not a big pasta eater, okay? But if I want it, I want it. Yeah, it's my life. But like Indian food, Mexican food, I just eat what I like. I utilize the tools, and that's how our life should be. Okay. So Dan is asking, how do I know if I'm winning my insulin resistance back? There's a number of ways that I can tell that I'm staying insulin sensitive. So let's go over some of the clues that you might be insulin resistant. But before I jump into that, Dan, guys, just go to my profile. If you want the protocol, it's $5 a day. Go to my profile. There's a link right under the red light symbols on TikTok, and everybody over here on Facebook and YouTube. I'll put the link in here in a minute. I had it up and then I just dropped it. Just go there, go through ordering. If you have questions, let me know. $5 a day, guys. That's it. All right. You get access to me. I will help you. I will call you. I will answer your text. I will do all of that. And you get a low price guarantee. You get a 90-day money back guarantee, and you get a quality guarantee. I want to stop real briefly before I dive back into these questions. Please, please, please understand it. And let's have an agreement together. I want people to get healthy. Okay. I really do. But if you're not at the point yet where you can say, I'm going to give myself 90 days to see what can happen, then don't even do it. Just don't waste your time. I need you to be in the mindset that I'm going to give it 90 days. You have a 90-day money back guarantee. So, you're not going to see big changes in your insulin levels or your A1C in 2 weeks. Those levels didn't get out of whack in 2 weeks. They're not going to get better with the natural system in 2 weeks. So let's leave that out there. Like, I want to help you, but you got to help yourself. So give yourself 90 days or just move on, please. And then when you're ready, come back and let me know. All right. So let's say that, because I don't want it to be a waste of time for either one of us. And I really want you to get better, but it takes some commitment. Okay. So, and that commitment is easy, you guys. It's not, that just made it sound like it was hard. It's the easiest thing I've ever done. I talked to an 11-year-old type 1 diabetic who's gotten his life under control, lost 35 pounds at 11. And I asked him directly, hey, how hard was this? And he was like, it was the easiest thing I've ever done. 2 of my grandchildren are on the products because one was pre-diabetic, the other is ADHD, and it's helped both of them. Both of my daughters are doing it, so it's easy. We don't skip. When my grandson's over and he wants pizza, we have pizza. Do I eat better the most of the time? Yes, I do. All right. So Dan, how do I know if we're winning with insulin resistance? I've been cold, so I had a jacket on. Let's take a look. There's some symptoms that you can tell that you may be insulin resistant. Number one, the high blood pressure that I've been talking about. If you have high blood pressure, you're insulin resistant 95% of the time. So just start acting as if you are and addressing it, okay? If you have that bulging belly, like all of us ladies had in these pictures, whether you're fat or thin, if you have that bulging belly, that's insulin resistance. There's this place in your brain that's cueing your body to store more fat under that tissue there. It's called visceral fat. That's an indication that you're insulin resistant. So it doesn't mean you have to be overweight. If your belly's starting to poke out, you're insulin resistant. Okay. A couple other ways. You'll see them up here on the list. Erectile dysfunction and PCOS. Those are big clues. If you're suffering with either one, men, ladies, that's insulin resistance, okay? Address the insulin. Those things get drastically better and in a hurry. And I've got stories about that. We'll come back to that if anybody wants to hear them. All right. The other ways that I can tell, because like I had PCOS. Yes, I'm 59. Yes, I'm past childbearing age. Yes, but it still has some of those same symptoms, except for the painful periods. Had all of that. But those get better. So the next thing that goes on is if you have skin tags, if you see someone, if your loved one, your wife, your husband has skin tags growing in their arms, in their groin, on their neck, on their eyelids, you'll see them. That's insulin resistance. It's a hyperproduction of skin cells called keratinocytes, and they're overproducing so much that they're starting to jump out of your skin. I was getting them on my neck. I had them all in my underarms. I had them in my groin. I was like, I'm a grandma now. This is just what happens. That's not true. That's not true. You don't have to have them cut off, lasered off, cut off, banded, rubber banded off, any of that. They will go away. Mine went away within 3 months, never to return. If I ever were to see a skin tag come back, boom, that's an indication for me. If you have dark skin patches around your neck, under your arms, on your elbows, on your knees, you know what we call ashy. I used to joke like, I'm Native American, I shouldn't be ashy. My knees had those dark rough patches. My elbows had those dark rough patches. No dark patches, no bad skin on my elbows now at all. That's because my insulin resistance is under control. If I ever start to see that those areas start to darken, I know that my insulin resistance is coming back and that I'm not addressing what I need to address. Those are some pretty simple ways, okay? That's how I test it. I also do test my ketones and I check my blood sugars to make sure that they're not getting out of control. When I wake up in the morning, my blood sugars are generally 98 now. Sometimes they'll get up to about 102. There's a reason for that. Again, if you want to know, ask me, I'll tell you. But when I check my ketones every morning when I wake up, after having not eaten for 12 hours, I have a good amount of ketones in my body. That's a clue. Okay. You will not have ketones present in a decent amount in your body if you have insulin and sugars present in your body. So one of the reasons I test ketones a lot when I'm doing fasting and whatnot is to make sure that I'm staying in an insulin sensitive state. So if you go to that same link, I think I took my ketone checker. So it's just the same thing as, you guys have a mess over here. I've been working on 1,000 things today. It looks the same as a blood glucose finger poke. So it's a blood test. I don't do the urine ones. They're not accurate. So I do a finger poke, a little drop of blood on the end of a test strip, and then it tests my ketones. So if I want to know, and I put myself in a, because I'm science curious, weirdo, science, whatever, mad scientist kind of person. I'm not a PhD, but I like to know things. I will put myself in a fasted state and then try foods and then see, does it drop my ketones? If it drops my ketones, then it's breaking my fast. It's eliciting insulin in the system. I talked to Dr. Bickman, who wrote the book, Why We Get Sick, about this, and he was like, it's amazing, amazing thought process, and he was surprised that I do that. But yeah, so that's how I do it. I check my ketones with a little monitor. It's in my, if you go to my landing page, that big bright page with the big yellow sunflower on it, the very bottom one is my recommendations, and there's a ketone tester in there that I use. I do that not from time to time. I do it a lot now that I know, because I want to make sure, right? I want to make sure I'm staying insulin sensitive. You don't get ketones coming out when you're constantly eating and having insulin present in your body. So those are some of the ways. You guys, other ways you can tell if you're insulin resistant would be like if you're having migraines. That's pretty common with people with insulin resistance. Constant headaches is pretty common in the absence of like a nasal infection, allergy, whatnot, right? If you're having that body ache and pain all over that you just can't explain, they will diagnose it as fibromyalgia. Now, some fibromyalgia is from nerve damage, not discounting that, but a lot of fibromyalgia is just this random pain throughout the body. It's due to inflammation and the fact that your nerves aren't reacting properly. And so you end up with these random pains and you just feel drained and tired. I used to say it felt like somebody stuck a vacuum cleaner hose to my belly button and sucked all my energy out and just left me in pain. That's what it feels like when you're insulin resistant for some of us, okay? If you're suffering with any of those, you will know. Also, if you eat and you start feeling cold right after you eat, and you're tired right after you eat, and you have brain fog right after you eat, and you have all of those like lethargy, and you just want to go crawl under a blanket, that's a sign of insulin resistance. So I'm going to pause for a second because it's driving me crazy that I'm not explaining all these things. That's called reactive hypoglycemia. What's happening is you've trained your body to have insulin at such a high level all the time. How did I lose weight from my belly as it is floppy on the picture? Okay, that's not my belly. That's a friend of mine. This is me on this side. That's a friend of mine. And this is Cindy. She's lost 120. She's lost about 50. I've lost 50. Okay, so 3 different ladies. But let's talk about fat then. So you guys want to talk about fat, and we'll talk about what's going on with this weight loss. You have 2 different types of fat on your body, okay? So adipose tissue comes in 2 kinds. It's either white fat, and it looks white, or you have brown fat. And the brown fat is brown because it has mitochondria in it. The brown fat is underneath the belly, but it's part of why your belly pokes out like that up there, because it's under the muscle wall. So now it's forcing your belly out, whether you're thin or fat, and now you have that big bulging belly. So again, when you start to remove the insulin resistance and your brain, the hippocampus in your brain is not cueing you to store excess fat in that area, that slims down. When you're not continually telling your body to store fat, which is what insulin does, then that component hormone can come out called glucagon and allow you to burn fat. So we'll talk about that in a second. What I'm doing is a simple protocol. You can find it. We're going to go over it again in a minute, but you can find it in my profile option right up here. Just click on my picture, top option. What I do, and we're going to go right back to the fat, okay, is I do a tea in the morning and I do a pre-meal drink before I eat anything. And that's all I've had to do. I'm off of 10 medications, lost 50 pounds, have gotten my health back, and have helped hundreds, if not thousands of others do the same. Okay. So it's easy. And I coach you through, I help you through, I answer your questions. If I don't know the answers, I will get them for you. All right. So fat. With the visceral fat, it's meant to, it has that brown fat in it, that one that's poking your belly out. It's meant to cushion and warm your organs. You guys ever wonder why babies are so heavy when they're little? Because they have a lot of this visceral fat because they don't move around much. We're like big babies, aren't we? We're not moving around much. So we have all this visceral fat on us to help cushion and keep our organs warm and cushion from damage. So there's a problem when you're starving and when you're way too thin, that thins down and now your organs are at risk that way too, right? But now there's so much visceral fat when your belly's poking out like this that it's actually choking off intestines, stomach. It can affect your heart, your kidneys, your liver, all of that, your pancreas, your gallbladder, which I've lost because of it. All of that happens when you're insulin resistant. Also, you guys, this is new for me. I'm on a learning journey right along with you guys. I listen to a lot of stuff all the time from doctors and scientists, and I caught one talking about visceral fat in the tongue. Nobody had ever talked to me. They were always like, it's in the abdominal cavity. And I always wondered. But yes, visceral fat gets built up in your throat and in your tongue, and that's causing sleep apnea, obstructive sleep apnea. The tea is only part of the protocol. It's a good part of it, but it's only a part of it. And it's in the profile link I have. Just go there and you'll find all the products there. Or my webpage. I have on my webpage, it's on that link. There's a lot of information on both products there that tells what they do and why and all of that. All right, I want to talk about this because it just triggered me. My granddaughter up in Washington State, I'm over in Maryland now, but my granddaughter in Washington State, not this last summer, the summer before, when I was with her, I would take them to the park every day while their mama was working and, get them out of the house during the summer. And I would go live. I would pick up my mug after going live and it would be empty because that little girl would drink all my tea. So the thing is, I didn't care because there are so many healthy components in that tea that I don't have to worry about her getting a hold of it. I don't have medications in my house that I have to worry about kids getting a hold of. I don't have to worry about any of that. My grandkids, 4-year-old granddaughter can drink that tea. And in fact, the cutest little bug ever, she will drink when I'm with them. She'll see my mug and she'll grab it and be like, it's okay, Nana, I can have it, right? Because it's healthy for me. I'll be like, honey, if you're not having juice, ask me about fruit juice. Why I don't like kids having fruit juice. If you want to know, to ask, I want to go into that too. But she'll drink the tea and I love it because I'm good. It's probably one of the better things that she could drink outside of water. So honey, drink all the tea that you want. It's good for you. And yeah, it's amazing when you have a product that you can do. We've had pregnant women do it. They're not having to worry. We have type 1 diabetics using it. We have type 2 diabetics doing it. We've had people with lupus, with kidney disease, with liver problems, all of that doing this, and they're getting healthier. And they can stay on their medications. You can stay on your medications while you're getting healthier from this, and then work with your doctor on titrating off. Which reminds me, I was talking the other day, and I promised to send somebody the links to the PDR. This is in the prescriber's digital reference, which means your doctor can prescribe it. Doesn't mean every insurance is going to cover it, but it's worth a shot, right? If you're seeing your doctor anyway, see if they'll prescribe it. If they will, then turn that into your insurance and see if you can get reimbursed. What is the micros and macros? Okay, great question, Melba. So just seeing this now, let me answer your question in a second, Melba. Blonde Godzilla. It's a protocol based on real food products. That's a tea I drink in the morning and a pre-meal drink that I have before I eat anything. And it's reversed my diabetes, helped me lose weight, reversed my hypertension. I will go back over that in a few minutes. We just went over it, but you can find it in my profile as well as a web page, guys. It's not just a sales page. There's a web page there. There's all of this information as well as how to get a hold of me personally. If you want to talk to me outside of this platform, that's fine. We can do that. But go find the information. Just go to my profile. Right under the red lights, there's a link there that will get you the information. A tea in the morning, a pre-meal drink before I eat anything, real food products in the PDR is really honestly changing lives. Scientific studies, clinical studies, backed by like American Heart Association, American Diabetes Association, Cleveland Clinic, University of Sydney, and a number of others, BYU, University of North Las Vegas, all of those. We have so many, I can't remember them all. So and the company's been around since 1903. This is not a fly by night. Oh, this came up and we're trying to hop on some bandwagon. Okay, micros and macros. So when we look at our food, the nutrients from our food, you'll hear people talk about macros. You'll hear people talk about micros. Micros are all the nutrients like your vitamins, minerals, all of those things in your food. There are often some of them let me finish the micros and I'm gonna that cracks me up. $5 a day is not a lot. Most people are spending that on coffee and junk and whatever. So you feel good and you think you're doing fine without it, great. You do you, boo boo. And when you want to come and talk to me, come and talk to me. All right, so micros and macros. Those are micros, right? The macros are fats, protein, and carbohydrates. So when you think about carbohydrates, I want you to remember this. If it's not a fat and it's not a protein, it is a carbohydrate. Yes, fiber falls in carbohydrates. It's a non-digestible carbohydrate. The products are in my profile. You can just go look them up in there. And it's in the top link there. So does that make sense what micros and macros are? So in like I'm doing some recipes right now and I don't mess with all the micros, you guys, I'm just not doing that. But I will list the macros. So I will tell you how many calories, how many fats are in it, how many proteins are in it, and how many carbohydrates and fibers are in it, because carbohydrates are actually two forms of your macros. So there's that. I don't talk about the product name on here for a lot of reasons. I've had so many people go to Amazon, eBay, Walmart and purchase, and then they're mad because they're not getting coaching, they're not getting support, they're not getting guarantees. So it's really like a protectant for you guys. Just order from somebody who's authorized and knows what they're talking about. Make sure that you're getting the right product and that you're getting all of the guarantees. You do when you go through my profile, and it's really easy. You tap on that link and then you're going to see what everything is. I'm not hiding anything, just go there and look. So there's that. Back to fats also, which kind of links me into some of those medications for weight loss, you guys. When we're talking about medications for weight loss, Dr. Bickman, again, I'm sad that I don't have his book because I carry my books. Oh, I do, maybe. Yep, right here. All right. This is the book I talk about. It's in my recommendations page as well. I highly recommend reading that book if you want to understand what's going on with your health. Fat in those medications. No. I am not on any of those GLP-1 medications. Will never be on them. They do more damage to your body than good, in my opinion. And from listening to scientists like Dr. Bickman, who I got to meet in person, and he talked to a number of us, when he was asked directly what he would tell somebody who's on those drugs, he said that he would tell them to get off of them as quickly as possible. And anyone who's not on them, he would just specifically tell them, don't start. So they're helping people lose weight because they're forcing insulin into cells that don't want the insulin in. So now you're at risk for having thyroid problems. I've talked to ladies who've had to have their thyroid removed. I've, kidney problems, liver problems, all of those things. But they're also creating this thing where they're multiplying your fat cells. Yes, it's true. It's not a conspiracy. Those drugs are making you multiply fat cells. It's called hyperplasticity in your fat cells. And so it's reducing the A1C and the blood glucose because it's giving you more places to store it. But it's also trying to deal with those sugars by forcing you to produce more of something that you're already producing too much of and resistant to. So if you guys can stop for just a second, just take a breath and think about what happens anytime you force something that's already having malfunction. Is it ever a good thing? So if I took an alcoholic and said, you're having problems with alcohol and you're kind of feeling bad because you've built up a tolerance to that alcohol. So instead of helping that person get off of alcohol, how about I just say, hey, come on, let's just keep upping the amount of alcohol that you're drinking until you start feeling better again. That's what's happening with GLP-1 drugs, and that's what's happening with insulin injections in type 2 diabetics. Not a good theory to work on, okay? That's my opinion. That's where I'm at with it. I would never do that. Plus, most people who are doing those drugs, after what Dr. Bickman says is what they've seen is after about 2 years, those satiety things where part of the reason you're losing weight is because it's making you so nauseous you don't want to eat. When that goes away in about 2 years, you have normal hunger back. You haven't learned to address the root cause. You have excess fat cells. You've caused damage to your body, and you're going to gain the fat back. And then some. And so what was good was that there's not been a long, like they're taking, and you know what? I stand on a pulpit for a second. It really makes me mad that the drug that was developed for diabetics, and they're now putting the diabetics at risk who should be getting it, which I don't agree with it in the first place, and they're giving it to people because they want to lose weight. Okay, use that on my profile right under my picture. You're going to look for the red lights right under that. It says info below. You'll click on that link and it'll take you to my landing page. Okay, let's just show my landing page real quick, guys. I've gone an hour and not shown it once. So let's do that right now. I'm going to get rid of one of these pictures here. All right, so let's go. I want to show you the where to find it and the landing page. Guys, it's been a little over an hour, and so we're going to do that. So this is my camera. I've been touching the back of my phone too much. All right, so here's my profile, right? My profile, picture, lights, link. When you click that link, all right, and then over on Facebook and YouTube, it's going to be right here under the banner on YouTube. On Facebook, if you go to my Vibrant Living page, it's right there. Okay, all of them will get you here. This is what it looks like. All right. So that's all you have to do to get to it. So then you're going to click on that. Again, it should say Misha or Michelle at the top. Then you'll click buy now. This is the protocol again. A tea in the morning that shuts down your hunger, helps you feel full because you're burning fat for fuel, gives you mental clarity and energy, like the craziest good kind of energy, not a crash. My daughter-in-law was just talking to me about it. Took about a year for her to like commit to doing this, and she's like, Mom, this is such good energy. All right, so you get 30 of the tea, you get 60 of the pre-meal drink. The tea you can have hot or cold. You're going to pick lemon or lemon ginger for the flavors. And then you're going to come down to the pre-meal drink, which now comes in apple for right now. It's a limited time, so if you're starting and you want to try the apple, because you can always get the orange. The orange is great, but why not try the apple? So, all right, it's about $159 a day. I'm going to address that cost thing right now. $154 US on subscription, about $5 a day. But if you put it on subscription, you're also getting $10 off, so you're not paying shipping. We have distribution centers all across the world. And then you get this free handy dandy here in the US little mixer with your first order when you do the subscription. By the way, you can cancel that at any time. It's not like you're locked into it and you're stuck, right? You can cancel it. You can change it at any time. All right, so let's get back around here. So the $5 a day thing that bothers some people so much. Let's take a look at that. I'm fixing. There we are. All right. Okay, now we're back. So $5 a day. Most people are spending more than that on coffees or sugars or candy, all of that, because you're so food addicted and it's making you sicker, right? It's not helping you get better. It's making you sicker. You're eating constantly throughout the day. If you're like me and you were on medications and going to the doctor, there's all the cost of that. For me, the swap of I do a tea in the morning and a pre-meal drink before I eat, and I spend about $5 a day doing that. I'm one of those nerds. I put everything in a spreadsheet. So at first I was like, whew, that's a lot. Because when it's all in one bulk, you're not spending it little bits at a time during the day, it does seem like a lot. I get that. But I'm going to challenge you. Be honest with yourself. Because I wasn't back then. I wasn't like, I'm lying to myself and everybody else about the amount I'm spending on, crap that's making me sick. So if you are really honest with yourself about the stuff that you're putting in your body every day that's making you sick, and if you are willing to take $5 a day away from that and put something in your body that's going to make you feel better, is that really expensive? Okay, so let's take a look at that too. Because 2 years ago, a walker, a cane, disability plates. Couldn't go up and down stairs, got angry, all like spit nails at anybody if I had, because it was painful. I couldn't get up and exercise because I was in pain all the time. My health was failing, my teeth were bleeding, my hair was falling out, my eyes were failing. Yeah, save $5 a day and live that, or spend $5 a day on my health. I run stairs this summer. I'm exercising again. I eat better. I'm able to play with my grandkids. Had a sword fight with my grandson last night, running through his house, having a sword fight. 2 years ago, I couldn't have had moments like that. Is that worth $5 a day to me? Well, to me it is. I can't make that decision for you, but you get to decide that for yourself. What do you want your life to look like? Do you want to spend the same amount of money and be in pain and be like, and just not have quality of life? Or do you want to spend $5 a day? By the way, you're eating twice a day now and you're doing it easily. So you're saving that in the meal that you're not eating, much less all the junk you're not stopping off for and all the medications you're not buying and all of that. But so there's those two things. You can continue spending the $5 a day where you're spending it, because you all are. And almost everyone that's on the system that I've talked to has been there too. So yes, I know we're all there, right? We all want to lie to ourselves about what we're doing and where we're spending our money because it's comfortable. I used to deal with subconscious stuff, guys. I get all this, all right? So I just had to make I had to take like a big breath. Look, I was on a limited income, single mom, struggling to pay my rent. My rent was being doubled. I was driving for Lyft and Uber 70, 80 a day. Still couldn't, like, there was days I had to decide, am I going to pay the electric bill or am I going to pay for groceries? I afforded it, and it was the best thing that I could ever do. It's up to you. That's your choice. Man, I would never go back now. I would give up a lot of things just to make sure that I always have this, because I feel so much better. So there's that little pulpit, okay? You guys, before I head out, and I love hanging out with you guys. I do have things to do, but does anybody have questions about anything that's up there? Are you suffering with anything else, that the high cholesterol, the thyroid, the blood pressure, acne, skin takes? Next week I will be talking about skin. This week I'm going to finish up talking about blood pressure. Next week I will go into how it's causing acne, skin takes, dark skin patches, your skin to age. By the way, fasting, not eating all the time, let's go into that, because this has nothing to do with the protocol, but has everything to do with your life. Yeah. Melba over on Facebook says, you can lie to yourself so long, then you wake up realizing you're dying, and that's what was happening to me. So you can lie yourself all the way into that wheelchair, which I was where I was going, or you can take a good dose of truth from yourself and understand that you got to make some changes. It's up to you. And it's a simple change. The cost is the least of it. Um, all right, where was I can't remember. All right, maybe it's time for me to get off of here. Maybe it's time to go. I appreciate you guys. I will be back at 8:30, 9 o'clock. If anybody has any questions about what I'm doing, how it's helping, what's going on with you, if, ask. I'm here to help. I will be putting up more videos. Yep. You know what? And here's the thing, I'm not ever shoving anything down anybody's throat. Oh, I was going to talk about fasting. That Melba, you cracked me up. She said, "It's me. I've got to have this." All right. So fasting. I know there's controversy about fasting, but the more I dive into it and the more I see for myself, the more I actually love it. And you guys understand that some fasting is going to help with your skin. That's where it started, right? I was starting to talk about skin. Look, if you have the moment to go scroll back through my videos, thousands of videos to 2021, when I first some of the weight, you'll see that my skin here was hanging down and it would actually kind of wobble. I had a turkey neck. I mean, it's getting better. It's not all the way gone yet, but I'm also 59 and I was 270 pounds at one point. So I got some skin, right? Fasting and the protocol have helped tighten my skin up and have helped my skin look as good as it does at 59. Or, I mean, I have friends who are, and this is not ego, this is reality. I have friends who are the same age as me and their skin looks 10 years older. The practices of getting in those nutrients into my gut and fasting have drastically changed the landscape of my whole life. You guys, it's actually easier than you think, and you'll feel so much better. But again, give yourself 90 days. Nothing, before I go, I'm going to talk about this. We are in this fast fix. I started talking about it earlier. Anytime we're trying to do something so rapid and force things and go so fast, we know that they break, right? And that's our body too. So you've been sick, many of you have been sick for 10, 15, 20 years. You will not get better naturally in 2 weeks. Give yourself 90 days. Give yourself 90 days, please. And then if it's not for you, you get your money, and we still remain friends. You get to make your choice. And yeah. So Anwar, thank you for that. I love it. You guys, I will bring you guys when you trigger me. I'm going to talk more. Um, I'm five. I like to say 5'6". I'm somewhere between 5'6" and 5'5". Legally not quite 5'6", but close to 5'5". Melba asked over on Facebook. All right. So yes, most doctors who have used product actually have used it and tried it for themselves will agree with this. We have cardiologists. I have a cardiologist who is in Wisconsin who prescribes it to every single patient that comes through his door because he knows how good it is for their heart health. Cardiologists. We have oncologists. We have neurologists. We have endocrinologists who are all recommending the product now to their patients as they've tried it and seen that it actually works. So there is, and then you guys, I don't talk about it a lot because I don't like to get into ego stuff a lot, and I don't want to sound that way, but I cannot tell you how many messages from doctors and nurses I get in the back end. If I make a mistake, they'll correct me, I'll fix it, but most of them are saying, how grateful they are for the information that we're getting out there and how much this is helping people, because doctors are frustrated too. They don't want to see you sick. They don't. Most of them don't, and they don't know how to help. This is helping. So just make the best choice for you, whatever that looks like. Okay. If you decide to do this, I would love to help you through. And if not, let me know when you're ready. Okay. I'm going to head out. I will find you guys at 8:30 in the morning. I'm really working on my life to be on time more. My ADD would get me some time blindness. So no, and I never intend to be, but here we are. Melba, I'm so glad that you're here too. I love seeing you on every day. She said she's so glad she found me. You guys, I will see you in the morning. Oh, you have some questions. Okay. I will always hang out for questions. What are your questions? Let's answer them. How this goes.
Hello.
Hi, pretty. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Australia?
No, England.
England.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So that's my number one pill. What's up? What questions do you have?
In a nutshell, I've been diagnosed with pre-diabetes,
Uh-huh.
and I'm 14 stone. So since I've had my son, baby weight's just not gone, and I struggle with emotional eating as well.
So, yeah, prediabetes is long-term insulin resistance. At first it goes, you have too much insulin in your body, which is called hyperinsulinemia. Then
Yeah.
long-term of that, it becomes insulin resistance. Longer term of that, it becomes prediabetes, and then it ends up as diabetes. I just talked last week or the week before how women become pre-diabetic or insulin resistant in pregnancy, and what you're experiencing happens to some women. We talked about the fact that, and so just for anybody who's on right now hearing all of this, if you can breastfeed after you've had a child, it will help you return to insulin sensitivity. People need to understand that breastfeeding has more purpose than just feeding the child. A woman becomes somewhat insulin resistant in pregnant for a number of reasons. Breastfeeding helps, but a number of women have problems with their gallbladder or never really get back to insulin sensitivity after pregnancy. So it is a problem. And the weight is because you have insulin in your system all the time, and that insulin is not allowing you to lose weight or burn fat. So insulin prevents you from breaking down fat or burning it, and it encourages storing it. So that helps. That answers that. What was the other part? There was another part I missed.
Do you ship to the UK?
We have warehouses in the UK. So it only
It's in
takes
London.
days. Yeah, yeah. So we have a number of people there. UK, Ireland. I have customers over there all the time, and it only takes a few days to get to you over there. And then you just I will send you an invite, or you can contact me on that page, and then we can WhatsApp and talk on WhatsApp all you want, and I will answer all your questions just like I do everybody else.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
Take care of yourself. Bye.
All right, you too. Bye-bye. Thank you. Okay. All right. Guys, I think we're about done unless there are more questions. I appreciate each and every one of you. This has been an amazing day. And we'll talk to you all morning, okay? And that's Friday, the end of the week. Yay. Okay, we'll see you later. Uh-oh, it's not turning off. There we are. Bye, Melba. Bye, everybody over here.